Welcome to a sparkling new podcast from Mike Parry and Mike Graham. We're the two Mikes.
Actually, it sounds even better when you do it Dullsville, because when you try to be happy and excited and energetic, you sound pathetic. Look at the light! Look at the light! The point is that people have been injured. It is irresponsible. I don't want to set a bad example.
So you are trying to back out? Really?
No, I'm not trying to back out.
This is TalkSport Extra Time. We are the two Mikes, and it is time to say a very, very warm and very good welcome to Mr. Mike Porky Parry.
Yeah, good morning, Mike. I tell you what, there's an issue here we've got to get stuck into immediately.
What do you mean? Well, we've got loads to talk about tonight.
I know we have, but this could really, really shape the future of football. Dave Whelan is standing down.
Yes, that's true.
He's made the chairman of his club, Wigan, his club, and there was some speculation he was going to sell it to some overseas businessman.
Well, he wasn't happy, was he, with that FA charge?
No. He says he's retaining ownership, but he's giving the chairman's job, the chairman's role, the chairman's, office, chairman's chair, to his 23-year-old grandson, a guy called David Shaw.
23-year-old Oxford graduate, it says here.
Well, that doesn't make him a bad person.
I didn't say that.
I know, but you're trying to insinuate he's a posh boy and he's not up to running the club, right?
I was qualifying the fact that he's not just a 23-year-old boy, he's a 23-year-old Oxford graduate, which actually is a good thing.
Well, if he's got an Oxford degree, in the most popular Oxford degray that people take out of Oxford...
PPE.
And PPE, Politics, Philosophy and Economics.
Maybe it's in PE.
That's what I was interviewed for at Brasenose College.
No, you weren't.
Sorry.
You were not interviewed.
I was interviewed.
For Oxford University.
I was interviewed at Brasenose College, Oxford, to take a position up as to take a position up as PPE, Politics, Philosophy and Economics.
Yeah. So it was either that or Trent Polly doing what was it? Urban estate management. I'm amazed that you chose the other course.
I don't know how you can be so flippant about these things. You know, your higher education record is one of complete and utter failure. When I went for my interview at Brasenose College, just to prove to you that I am
were you interviewed by a panel of esteemed academics?
I was interviewed by a panel of esteemed academics, but the best thing about it was you get your own room in college, for the 2 days you're there for the interview.
You went for 2 days?
2 days, yeah.
What did you have 2 days for?
Well, to talk to all the great brains at Oxford about my theories on politics and philosophy.
I never had any 2-day interviews at university. I went for an afternoon.
Yeah, but you went to a bum university. You went to Aberystwyth to be interviewed, didn't you?
I did, that's true,
That's barely a university.
Well, no,
with the greatest respect to Aberystwyth University.
Well, it was actually a university.
What I'm saying it's not, it's not a blue stocking one, is it?
Blue stocking?
No.
No, it was a red brick one, actually.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, yeah.
Very good school of politics, though.
What happened was... Politics, yeah, but only Welsh politics. That's the sort of place where Neil Kinnock, the Welsh windbag, went.
One of the most esteemed political experts actually was based there.
Rubbish.
He wrote loads of great books about
politics
post-war politics.
What?
British politics.
What do you know about British politics if you live in Aberystwyth?
Loads.
All you know about is basically, how fast the wind blows across the Atlantic or the Irish Sea or something like that.
Really?
That's about it.
Yeah. Well, you can slag off another part of the country.
No disrespect to Aberystwyth. I have a great fondness for the Welsh people.
There'll be about
I was brought up on the border.
There'll be about 15 cities we won't be able to go to do a live show because you've upset everybody.
When I went to Oxford for my 2-day interview, what happened was you got a room in college, and then at about 6:30 every morning there was this on your door, and it said, "Hello, sir, I have your morning tea." What? And, he said, "Come in." And the guy came in, and there's a chap in a brace and bib, like a brown thing, you know what I mean? Like a brown overall type thing. Yeah. Like he might have been a joiner or something, but he wasn't. He was your personal valet.
Right.
And he brought
wearing a brown coat?
No, not a brown coat. Like a brace and bib thing. Like an apron, like a brown apron.
Really?
And he brought you a cup of tea.
Blimey.
And then he asked you if you...
Sounds like something out of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
No, it was more like out of Brideshead Revisited, really. And then,
So why didn't you end up going there, then, if you had this 2-day interview?
Because I made arrangements to go elsewhere, didn't I?
So you decided categorically that going to Trent Polly was a better idea?
Definitely, because you see, at the time my father was involved in selling houses. He used to sit in a house on a housing estate in North Wales and flog houses to people who walk through the door.
Oh, yeah.
So he wasn't exactly a property magnate.
Was he an estate agent?
Well, he was the sales agent for the site, see what I mean? But he had great ambitions to...
Were they caravans?
No. He was in a show house.
It wasn't like a caravan
house. He was in a show house. An ordinary show house.
No.
And so he had great ambitions to become an estate agent. And the idea was I'd go off and get qualified as a, as a chartered surveyor by doing urban estate management. Then we'd set up a business and I'd make a few million.
So you went there and then you decided you didn't like that, dropped out. And instead spent your entire time playing darts and snooker.
I did, actually, yeah.
Well, what a letdown for your father. He must have been heartbroken.
And chasing girls at the
he must have been heartbroken.
the nursing school, which was nearby. Yeah. There was a nurses' college.
Anyway, let's get back to this young Whelan man.
Let's get back to him. So he's 23 years of age.
He used to run a chip shop.
No, this is the point. He didn't run a chip shop. He tried to run a chip shop, and in fact, it went out of business. Here, an Oxford University graduate who helped to set up Sharps, because that's his name, so he named it after himself, a fish and chip restaurant at Wigan's DW Stadium that has since closed owing to a lack of trade on match days. Now, that's interesting.
Well, if you've got to sell chips on match day, you're having a problem, aren't you?
Well, I was about to say, you could
understand not selling them when it's not match day.
I was going to say, you could not blame him for saying, well, I didn't sell any chips on Tuesday or Wednesday because there was no football matches here and we're out of town. Nobody came by to buy any chips. Right. Why would you say to yourself, if you're in Wigan, I know what, let's drive 4 miles over the DW and get a packet of chips.
It's outside of town, isn't it?
It is a bit outside of town. And clearly that didn't happen. But apparently, even on match days, people didn't want to buy his fish and chips. So is that some sort of indication of his ability?
Do you think he might have been pricing them too high?
To run businesses. But the other thing is, look...
But I don't think you should be too hard on the boy. At 23, what were you doing? I mean, at 23, you probably thought you could run a company.
At 23, I was making huge strides through the world of journalism.
Were you?
Yes, I was.
Who were you working for?
I think I'd just gone to work for the Newcastle Evening Chronicle.
Oh, right.
It was a step up to an evening paper. But you see, the whole world has changed.
Do you know what I was doing when I was 23?
I don't care what you're doing when you're 23.
You don't care?
No, I don't.
You don't care?
No, I don't.
What sort of response is that?
Why should I care what you're doing at 23?
Because I can give you a comparison between you and I.
Right, go on then.
I got on a plane to New York and decided to set up a new business in New York on my own as a freelance journalist.
Rubbish.
Which became incredibly successful.
Rubbish.
What do you mean rubbish?
Your girlfriend said, Mike, you fat and ugly, I'm going back to America.
Not true.
And you then got on a plane at the cheapest rate you could find.
That's
a discount
true.
flight.
I went standby.
And standby, that's right. And
I took 100 quid with me.
Took 100 quid and flew out there.
Made my fortune.
No, and hoping that when you got there, because you're an unemployed bum, and they don't like unemployed bums in America.
Not true at all. I was doing shifts in Fleet Street.
You would be taken in by your girlfriend's family, and you became a sponger.
Absolutely not true.
Of the American welfare state. I know these things.
Much to my regret, actually. Some months after that arrival, I met you.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that was your lucky break in life, mate. Because
I tell myself that every day.
Yeah, compared to you, I must have been wealthy because I was employed by the Daily Express then, and I didn't pay any tax. So I had loads of... What are you laughing at?
You sure you want to admit that?
Well, I've paid it since, unfortunately. It's one reason why I nearly went into penury about 10 years later when the Inland Internal Revenue Service...
When they finally caught up with you?
Yeah, they caught up with me, sent me a bill for 87 grand.
Dear
and I thought, this is a bit harsh, so I laughed at it and threw it over the balcony of my penthouse flat on the River Thames.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, it blew back.
Yeah, well,
in that
things
respect.
have a habit of doing that. No, I think I wish this guy well because,
I wish him well, but it's not going to work.
Why not?
Do you know what Guy Gibson was doing at the age of 23?
What?
Leading the Dam Busters raid as captain of a Lancaster aircraft. You worry too much about the time.
No, time.
Do you know what time is? Time is
of the essence.
Time is merely space.
No, it isn't.
And we need to make space.
Yeah, we need to make space. Move over. Look into the light. He's Mike Parry. I'm Mike Graham. This is Talk Sport.
Talk Sport on DAB, digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The enduring home of football.
It's modern radio, only better.
Talk Sport.
McCauley is there. It's into the arms of Ben Foster, who's parried it away. Penalty! Penalty to Aston Villa! And Ben Foster has given it away! This will be the last kick of the game! Can you believe it? Ben Foster has conceded a penalty! Christian Benteke steps up and scores! Aston Villa have won the West Midlands derby with the last kick of the game!
Oh, it's huge because psychologically, we're out of the bottom three, for now, and we don't want to ever see it again, and we can bounce into our next games. We've got winnable games. We're alive and kicking.
You like that? Alive and kicking.
Alive and kicking. I like it. Tim, I'm so pleased for Tim, but on the other hand,
Steve,
can you just stop that show?
Steve.
That is getting on my nerves.
Well, it's just...
And it's getting on the nerves of our listeners.
No, not at all, not at all. I mean, everybody now refers to him as Steve Sherwood.
No, they don't. Anyway, look, yes, I'm very pleased with Tim, but I do have a bunch of mates who are West Brom fans. I didn't particularly want the baggies to go down, but my biggest fear...
The baggies aren't going anywhere. They're going to be fine.
My biggest fear is that Everton are now getting sucked into...
Well, they're only 3 points ahead of Aston Villa now.
I know, and the difficulty is we're playing Stoke tonight. You don't get much at Stoke usually.
No.
And I've just read a horrible, shocking statistic. If we don't get a victory tonight, if Everton don't get a victory tonight, at this stage of the season, after playing, I think it's 28 games, we will have our lowest tally of Premier League points ever.
Really?
Ever, including the critical 93-94 season when we could have gone down on the last day if we hadn't beaten Wimbledon.
Right.
That's how bad
so
it's
had more points at this time that year.
Exactly.
That's awful, isn't it?
It is shocking.
I mean, the only good news
shocking.
I can give you is that below Everton, Hull and Sunderland and Aston Villa have already played.
Yeah.
You got QPR, Burnley and Leicester playing tonight, and they can't catch Everton.
No.
So, I mean, at least you won't be any lower than 14th.
But I don't want to be talking about can't catch and all that.
Yeah, but you won't be any lower than 14th, is what I'm saying.
Blimey,
no matter what happens, even if you don't get any points.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Now, a couple of tweets have come in.
Yes.
Some people are slightly curious about this bizarre Oxford story you've told. Henry has tweeted, who's another doctor in Mexico, not the original doctor in Mexico.
Yeah.
Is it true? It is true Mr. Parry had an interview at Oxford, but they decided to give the cleaner's job to someone else.
Oh, that's very funny. That's very
great.
original and funny. Thank you very much indeed for coming up with such a novel and original take on my interview at Oxford.
And Robert says, I reckon Porky was interviewed by Tommy the Chimp and friends.
Tommy the Chimp and friends. I tell you what, it truly is the city of the rumbling spires. You know that, don't you?
Rumbling?
Yeah.
Isn't it dreaming spires?
Either.
I don't think it's rumbling spires.
Either. But, I mean, have you ever been there?
That would suggest to Oxford.
Yeah.
I have, but not...
It's magnificent to go around the colleges.
The trouble with Oxford, right, is...
Go around the colleges.
You go to... I went to Oxford once, I think it was a Saturday.
Right.
So we decided to take the kids to Oxford for the day and sort of wander about.
Yeah.
And you get into Oxford, and there's nowhere to park, right?
Is that
Absolutely nowhere to park.
Isn't it Park and Ride Town?
It's one of those, yeah. So you literally have to drive back out of the town and sit in a traffic jam of a queue for something like half an hour in order to get into a car park, in order to then get anywhere near the town. So I just gave up.
I don't blame you.
Drove around for a while and thought, it looks nice, but I mean, it's full of tourists.
I don't blame you.
It's not my kind of place at all.
I quite like Cambridge as well, but I prefer Oxford.
I've never been to Cambridge.
Oh, yeah, Cambridge. I went to a May Ball. My mate went there from the King's School Chester, which is a very fine school. 6 of my mates actually went to Cambridge.
Did they?
And 3 of them
Did
studied...
that make you feel a bit inferior?
No, not at all. 3 of them studied medicine, and medicine wasn't my bag. And I went to a May Ball, and it was brilliant.
Was that one of these black tie affairs?
No, this one wasn't, actually. I mean, some of them are. This one wasn't. It was something else, but it was the one where...
Did you go for a punt while you were there?
No, it's the one where everybody throws himself off the bridge afterwards, sort of half kill themselves.
It's shocking behaviour.
It is shocking behaviour, but I liked it. It was good.
Did you throw yourself off the bridge?
No, because I would get wet, and I decided to...
I'm not sure you can actually swim,
Yes, I can. Yeah, of course I can.
Are you sure you can swim?
Like a polar bear, mate.
Yeah. A lot of action on the polar bear front. A lot of people said you got that wrong about the 600-mile swimming events.
Well, what do they know?
Well, they say they can only swim for 65 miles.
That's rubbish. They've put a pair of flippers on a polar bear and tried to measure how far he's gone. Listen, the other day when I couldn't get hold of you, it's because I lost my phone. That is the worst nightmare you can come across in modern life. The worst nightmare.
Well, how could you lose your phone?
Well, I lost it because I've got a number of winter coats. And I put
When you say a number, how many?
3.
You got 3 winter coats?
3, yeah.
Why?
I like to have 3 winter coats.
Are they all the same? Are they all different?
Occasions. No. One is a big grey overcoat. The other one is my hunting jacket, so to speak.
Hunting?
Hunting.
What do you hunt?
Well, I'm going to tell you about this later in the show. I'm soon going to be hunting grey squirrels.
Are you?
Because it's now become official. We can all go around massacring squirrels.
Oh, I thought you were an animal lover.
Well, I am an animal lover, but I didn't realise that the grey squirrel is poisoning the red squirrel.
Yeah, but there's not many red squirrels in London.
No, the red squirrel's indigenous, and there's 100,000 of them in this country.
Yeah, mostly in Scotland.
Yeah, mostly in Scotland, OK. The grey squirrel was imported from America towards the end of the 19th century, and there's 2.5 million of them in this country. But great swathes of this country are now ridding themselves of the grey squirrel. The grey squirrel has actually been obliterated altogether from the island of Anglesey. Yeah. They've just done it. They've said, right, that's it. Unfortunately, a few escaped across the Menai Straits, the bridge.
Where do they swim?
No, they ran across the railway bridge.
Oh, really?
And they've run into North Wales, so they're going after them and going to get them.
Right.
But apparently it's open season on the grey squirrel. Anybody can blow them away.
Well, you can't go around shooting squirrels in the middle of London, can you?
Apparently you can now.
No, rubbish.
Apparently you can. I'm not urging that people do.
No,
Check it out.
I'm sure that's not true.
But do you know they carry all sorts of disease?
Do they?
They chew all the bark off trees. Like people in North Korea in that respect.
I was waiting for that.
I don't want to be rude about people in North Korea, obviously, but that's the...
Well, it's lucky they haven't got them in North Korea. There's nothing to eat.
You'd be fighting the squirrels for the bark on the tree. I mean, it's not a very nice image, is it? Those poor people.
No, shocking.
And
so you lost your phone in one of your other coats, is that what you're telling me?
That's exactly
so
what I
you didn't
did.
actually lose it at all?
Yeah, but
see, this is another sign of you losing your faculties.
No, but the
sheer losing control of what's going on.
Sheer terror of thinking you've lost your phone is enough to drive you mad.
Yeah.
And what happened was, you see, I have a number of sort of things I go in my pocket.
Yeah.
And I pat my chest like this all the time
Right.
to make sure my phone's there. Unfortunately, I was patting a diary I was taking with me.
Is it the same size?
It's about the same size. It's a pocket diary.
Is that like the notebook you carry around?
No, that's different. That's called the Book of Knowledge.
Yeah.
No, this
is that the one that you wrote your phone number in and gave it to the girl's mother from here the other night?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, I've got a picture of it.
I do communicate with people sometimes by giving notes, because I don't carry business cards.
Right.
Because I think people who carry business cards are rather pompous individuals.
Yes.
Think they're so important.
And that wouldn't suit you at all, would it?
No. They think I know what you're laughing at. They think they're so important that they dish out business cards.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Right.
And anyway, I don't want people ringing me all the time. And it's an easy way to get rid of somebody is to say, oh, look, here's my card.
Here's my card.
I don't do that. I just
have you ever
say,
had those people who give you a card that hasn't got a number on it?
No.
I mean, you can tell they're real charlatans, they just put this card and it says something like, media consultant or something like that, but there's actually no way of getting in touch with them. And it's just like a sort of vanity card.
Really?
You could get one of those.
No, I don't want one of those.
You could just get Mike Parry, Seeker of Truth and Justice, and just hand it out to people.
Well, what would you do that for?
Well, just because it would big up yourself.
Look what's going on here. I'm telling you, that's Steve Bruce stuff.
That's Steve Bruce and Gus Poyet,
Yeah, they got pretty angry. What was his quote afterwards, Steve Bruce?
Well, we'll hear it in a minute. He said basically that it was one of those things that you wake up in the morning, I think, and you regret, and you go, oh, for heaven's sake, we're two grown men behaving like children.
We'll come back to that in a
minute.
We
will come back to that.
So going on about the phone, it is that.
So
night.
Where were you when you thought you'd lost it?
I'd sat down for lunch. And I thought, shall I pay for this with cash or shall I? Yeah. So I go in my pocket, recognise my wallet. That's funny. Where is it? Oh, no. And of course...
So did you think it'd fallen out or something?
I didn't know what had happened. Maybe it had fallen out of my pocket on a walk across the North Downs or something like that.
It is one of those terrifying things. Because the funny thing is you're almost always now... getting onto your phone at some point. I mean, very rarely do I spend, if I'm awake, do I spend more than about 10 minutes without doing something on my phone. Because you're on Twitter, or you're on Facebook, or you're reading the news, or you're doing something.
You get your emails, and you...
I get these news alerts now as well on this. Do you get those?
Yeah, of course I do, all the
time.
BBC,
whenever anything happens.
No, I get them from Sky, the BBC, I get them from Everton Football Club, get them from a load of organisations.
Does it make a noise when it happens as well?
Just like you hear a buzz.
Mine does like the BBC news thing, like dun, 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 like the actual news, headlines.
I wouldn't want that. Switch it off.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you can switch it off. I quite like it.
The point of my story is...
Yeah, what is the point of your story?
The point of my story is that I realised that had I lost my phone, I wouldn't even be able to ring you to seek assistance because I don't know what your number is.
Great. Excellent.
And I wouldn't have a phone, of course, to ring you on.
Haven't you backed it all up on your computer?
No.
Why not?
No, I don't know. I don't know how to do it. Don't know how to do it.
You should sync your phone. You plug it into your computer, right? The bit that you normally use as a charger. You take the bit out of the plug, stick it into the computer, and you sync the phone. Have you never heard of doing that?
Not sure about that. I'll get somebody to do it for me.
Your housekeeper?
Well, maybe she might understand how to do that.
Is she a bit more savvy about technology than you?
She's actually resewing buttons on my shirt at the moment for me.
What?
She's resewing some buttons on my shirt. I didn't like the buttons, so she's...
You didn't like the buttons?
No, I didn't like the buttons, honestly.
What do you mean you didn't like the buttons?
I bought an expensive shirt. I didn't like the buttons.
Is it striped by any chance?
No, it wasn't striped. No, it's a different shirt.
Well, what sort of colour is it?
It's dark. All my shirts are dark.
Dark?
Yeah.
And what colour were the buttons?
They were dark as well.
Right. So what, you put white buttons on?
Yes,
now?
I want white
buttons. So
buttons.
they look like Coco the Clown?
No. They just look better. They just look better.
Well, how long's that going to take you?
I don't know. I mean, I don't sew buttons, so I don't know how long it takes to sew a button on, do I? But anyway, she's very happy to do it because it's part of her obligation.
Really?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
No, it's
unbelievable.
Well, now, I bet you don't sew buttons on your shirt.
No, I certainly don't.
No, so what do you do? Throw a shirt away when a button comes off?
Buttons don't come off my shirts because my shirts fit me. They don't go ping every time I put them on.
Everybody's buttons come off their shirts occasionally.
No,
buttons come off your coats, they come off your shirts. How do you sew your buttons back on?
My buttons don't come off.
You've got loads of clothes with only a few buttons on them. I know you have.
Not true.
Scruffy devil.
He's Mike Porky Parry. I'm Mike Graham. He's Mike Parry. There will be a podcast of the two Mikes coming out a little bit later on this morning, around about 8:30, 9 o'clock, of course. Now, I wanted to bring this to your attention. Richard tweeted this at me during the day. Apparently, after your long campaign to try and make everybody believe that cats are evil, there's an island off the coast of Japan, which is a tiny fishing community. It's only got 22 people living on it, right? Yeah. Apparently, it's being overtaken by cats.
How come?
Because the cats were brought in originally to
catch the rats.
To catch the rats and the mice and all of that.
Right, I understand
but
that.
They've been breeding, and they've now started to outnumber the human population. 120 cats now roam around in this tiny island.
I couldn't live on an island like that.
And the humans don't know what to do about it.
What was that song, by the way, that just brought us back?
That was Love Cats.
That was Love Cats?
Yeah, by The Cure.
I thought we might have got cool for cats, you know what I mean?
Well, you could have done that.
The Indians send signals from the rock above
People
the pass.
People are now begging me to tell you to stop singing.
Right, OK, now then, I've got some information on cats, funnily enough, because I was talking to you about it earlier today. Yeah. I've discovered a new book on cats, which illustrates how evil they are. For instance, it's now been discovered by scientists that though dogs need to be man's best friend...
Right.
You know, dogs are always, bringing your slippers, bringing your newspaper from the door.
Dogs are very loyal, aren't they?
Dogs are very loyal and all that kind of stuff. Cats do not want to be friends with humans. Cats want to dominate humans. They do not want to be friends with them under any circumstances.
Who's the author of this tome?
An expert.
Well, what's his name?
It doesn't matter.
You don't know, do you?
Of course I do.
What makes him an expert?
He's an expert because he studied cats all his life.
Well, is there a name for a person who studies cats?
A guy called Max Cryer.
Max Cryer.
It's called The Cat's Out of the Bag, The Truth and Lies About Cats, OK?
Okay.
And they simply do not want to be friends with humans. People who love cats find their aloofness, that's cats, right, captivating and their beauty irresistible. The most battle-scarred old moggy, prowling the garden wall in search of a fight, moves with the instinctive grace of a tiger.
Yeah.
And it's no accident that cats, rather than any other creature, were considered sacred by the ancient Egyptians. How about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody knows all that. This is not news to anybody.
It is. It's absolute news. Now, I'll give you some facts about cats. What about this? This is incredible. Cats make 100 different sounds. Dogs can only make 10.
That's not true either.
It is true.
Yeah. I've just found out about this bloke, Max Cryer.
Yes.
He's not an expert at all.
Yes, he is.
He's a New Zealand television producer and presenter, radio broadcaster, entertainment producer, singer, cabaret performer and author.
No.
So he is not in any way, shape or form an expert on cats.
It's probably a different Max Cryer. Wouldn't worry about that.
Do you want to know what other works he's written? He's written Cat Miscellany.
There you go.
Published by Blake Publishing.
Expert on cats.
We know, without doing any disrespect to Mr. Blake,
John Blake,
pretty much you'll publish any old rubbish. You know,
excuse me.
People publish any old crap.
Excuse me.
Did he publish some of your stuff? John Blake would publish anything.
Blake Publishing.
As long as he doesn't have to pay too much money for it.
Blake Publishing published Rooney Tunes.
Did he?
Yes.
My God, and how much money did he make out of that?
I'm not telling you that.
You're
I'm not prepared to tell
reveal.
You. I can tell you something.
Yeah.
Blake Publishing also published the very first Katie Price book, My Story.
Yeah.
And she made £1 million. Yeah.
But did he publish the one after that?
So that'll give you some indication of what a successful book with the John Blake Publishing.
It's a very
Empire
successful
does for
publishing house. But what I'm saying to you, it is not what you would call an academic house of publishing, right? So this guy that you claim is an expert in cats, right? Let me tell you something about him, right? In New Zealand, Max Cryer was the country's first TV quizmaster.
Right,
and subsequently made over 300 appearances as a television entertainer.
There you go.
And hosted 12 different TV series.
It all fits
including New Zealand's first live talk variety show, Town Crier.
It all fits in.
As a singer, he recorded long-playing albums with his singing children.
Well, there you go.
And his stage roles included Henry Higgins in My Fair Lady, The King in The King and I, Count Danito in The Merry Widow, and Prince Orlovsky in Die Fledermaus.
This guy's multi-talented, isn't he?
Yeah, well, what does he know about cats that the rest of us don't know?
I'll tell you some more things about cats. In just 7 years, a single pair of cats and their offsprings could produce a total, get this, of 420,000 kittens.
Yeah, so?
Well, it's an astonishing figure.
Why?
The way the cats breed.
Well, that's what's happened on this island.
How fast do you think...
It's called Aoshima.
How fast do you think the fastest cat can run?
The fastest cat can run?
Yeah.
Well, if you're talking like a cheetah...
No, I'm talking
about... They can run at 90 miles an hour.
I'm talking about a little domestic cat.
A domestic cat, I would say 20 miles an hour.
31 miles an hour,
really?
The fastest has been recorded.
That's as fast as Usain Bolt.
Yeah,
he runs at about 28, 29 miles an hour, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's right. The cat. And guess what else I've discovered as well from researching this book?
Is that over a short distance, though?
Well, it's over a distance.
Well, they can't run like in a marathon, could they, at 20 miles an hour, else they'd win it.
Well, cats don't run marathons, you fool.
Well,
what cat would want to run 26 miles?
Well, I don't
325
know.
yards?
Well, I don't know.
A cat usually runs to try and catch a bird about, 12 feet away or something.
That's right.
And they move at 31 miles an hour. They are evil when they attack birds. I hate to see that.
You just talked about killing off an entire species.
Well, I'll tell you what, if everybody else is going after the grey squirrel, I can't see why I shouldn't either. What I was going to say to you was, I found another fantastic fact. You know Isaac Newton?
Yeah. Did he have a cat?
Well, I'm about to tell you. I think he did, because I'll tell you why.
Right.
Isaac Newton discovered the law of gravity when he was sitting under a tree and an apple fell on his head.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, very brilliant man.
Yeah. That's when he discovered gravity. He didn't invent it.
That's how he discovered gravity.
He didn't invent gravity.
No, but he discovered
If he invented gravity, that would be amazing.
He discovered the existence of gravity, didn't he? So that's...
what are you pointing at?
What, the TV review?
The internal monitor.
On the internal monitor.
That's one of your former conquests.
It is, actually, yeah. But there we go. We won't say anything more about that.
Yeah.
Anyway...
She's looked better.
No, I think she looks very good for her age.
Really?
To be honest, yeah.
Right.
So what I was going to say was... because now you put me off my track.
Should I say who it is?
Yeah, why not?
Carol Malone.
Absolutely. Columnist for the Sunday Mirror. Used to be columnist for the News of the World.
World-famous columnist. You knew her in Newcastle, right?
I certainly did, yeah. But she was so good at writing a column in the News of the World, they closed the paper down. Well, perhaps it wasn't her fault. But anyway, there we are.
Well, she moved, didn't she, to be fair?
Well, she only moved after they closed the paper down.
Well, yeah, I know. But, I mean, it wasn't like she didn't get another column.
Well, OK, yeah, but unfortunately, the person who
I realise that it probably wasn't as successful as your column in the Portsmouth Bugle.
Hang on, excuse me, I used to have a column in the Sunday People.
Did you?
Every Sunday, yes, in the sports section.
I never read that.
Oh, didn't you? Well,
mind you, I stopped by the Sunday People in about 1978.
Well, that's your problem, not mine.
Because it was rubbish.
Isaac Newton invented the cat flap.
What?
Isaac Newton, the man who found gravity, invented the cat flap.
Discovered gravity.
Discovered gravity.
Just find it.
Well,
look, there's gravity over there.
Well, no, but nobody else knew about gravity. Everybody else just thought that things fell to the earth.
Well, they didn't know what it was called.
No.
They had the sense of what it was.
No, he discovered, what Sir Isaac Newton discovered was, they don't fall to earth. There's a gravitational pull from the core of the earth.
Do you know what speed
an
apple falls to earth?
Yeah.
Go on then. Tell me. Well, you've got that look on your face. What speed does it fall to earth at?
It depends from the height of the tree it falls from.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
It falls at the same speed. It's gravity.
It falls at 4.5 miles an hour.
What?
4.5 miles
10 metres per second
That's the same.
is the answer you were looking for.
That is the same.
Yeah.
That's the same.
Anyway,
I've worked it out.
So how did he invent the cat flap then?
Well, because he must have had a cat and he didn't know
How do you know he invented a cat flap?
Because I've...
That's just like Max Cryer told you.
No.
The song and dance lad from New Zealand.
No.
I'm an expert on cats. Would you like me to give you a song? He's a bit like you, this guy.
No. It came from other research.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is... I don't know how he invented it, I suppose, because he wanted to let people...
So you're just coming out with a statement with no evidence whatsoever. He invented the cat flap, but you don't know why.
I know Sir Isaac Newton invented the cat flap.
Why?
Because he had a cat... He wanted it to come in and out at night.
What was the cat called?
Don't be ridiculous and don't be petty.
Well, surely you would know that.
And split. No, I don't know that.
I'm going to have to look this up now.
He wanted his cat to come in and out of the house.
Have a cat?
So he invented a little door in his door, and that was called the cat flap.
Right. Did he think they were evil though?
Well, I presumably not, because he had a cat himself, didn't he?
Well, I don't know. So you say.
42 cats in all of William Shakespeare's works. How about that? Hey, how about that?
This is sort of useless information about cats.
No, it's not. I'm just pointing out that there is an evilness about cats, which is difficult to sum up. But you only got to look at a cat to know that cat actually is not man's best friend like a dog is.
No.
He is actually at war with you, that cat. He's at war for your territory, for your space. He urinates over your curtains just to make sure that he's telling you, I run things round here, not you. That's obvious.
Yeah.
It's obvious to everybody.
This is apparently a myth that he invented a cat door.
No, well, how do you know it's a myth?
Because I've just read about it.
Don't be ridiculous. I've read that he invented a cat flap. You've read that he didn't.
Right.
So
that's because you believe everything you read.
I don't believe everything I read unless I've researched it properly.
Yeah, Max Cryer, what a source.
You believe everything anybody tells you.
What a source. Anyway, coming up, you've got your opportunity to help some people because it's time for Ask Porky, where people will tell you what their problems are and you will give them a solution.
Okay. Okay.
And I can tell you, already there are people saying that because they took Porky's advice last week, their life has been improved.
Good.
It's all coming to you've had in many a year to get the kind of help that really should be worth quite a lot of money and that you should actually be paying for. But Mr. Parry's very generously offered his time and his great experience of life to try and solve any problem.
I'm here to help my fellow man.
Yes.
That is the only reason, really, that we're put on earth, to help others.
Right. Well, shall we get off straight away with... We've got loads and loads of questions.
Let's do that.
We managed to get through about 10 last week, and I've got hordes of them here. So let's start with this one. And this comes from Tim, who says, Dear Helper, I've been stitched up by a work colleague who I used to call a mate. How do I get revenge?
The way you get revenge is through success. Now, this expression about revenge is a dish best served cold...
Yes.
I have never understood. I can't understand what it's all about. It's rubbish, nonsense and all that.
You get revenge straight away, you mean?
You get revenge straight away.
Right.
What you do is, this jerk at work who's giving you bad times, probably stabbing you in the back, probably pretending to be a friend to your face, probably saying nice things to you,
stitching you up,
probably flattering you, probably trying to make you feel big. And what that does is that lowers your defences. Lowers your defences.
Right.
Anybody at work who's being nice to you, treat them with grave suspicion.
Really?
Because inside us all is the burning ambition to be better than our fellow man.
Isn't that just inside you?
One great philosopher once said, my heart leaps every time a friend or colleague of mine takes a dip in life. And that's the way you've got to approach... That's the way you've got to approach...
That's what you're really like, isn't it?
That's the way you've got to approach life, OK? So if this guy is doing you in, you do him in. And remember, not just an eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth. If he takes your eye, you smash all his blinking teeth in and knock him out of his mouth and let him know who's the boss.
You're not encouraging violence at work.
No, it's all metaphorical.
Of course. Question number 2 has come in. This one is from Spencer. He said, what should I cook as a romantic meal to woo a lovely lady, and have you got any tips on how I should conduct myself?
Well, first of all, invite her around to your pad. Serve champagne for her, but you don't drink champagne because it gives you hiccups. And there's nothing worse than on a romantic evening, OK?
What, so you just give her the champagne?
Yeah, give her the champagne.
Surely you have 2 glasses, don't you? She'll think it's weird if you only have 1 glass.
No. In my case, I would drink Pinot Grigio and she would drink champagne. I would say, only the finest for you, my dear, OK? I'd put roses on the table. Yeah. I would cook spaghetti bolognese.
Spaghetti bolognese?
Spaghetti bolognese, because I'm
Isn't
really...
that a bit messy?
No.
Don't you get, tomato sauce all over your shirt?
No. Well, not if you eat properly, you don't,
well, it can splash, can't it, spaghetti?
Well, it can, but I mean, you shouldn't. You should be able to do it yourself. Now, that's if you're dining in. If you're dining out, right?
Well, he wants to cook a romantic meal.
He wants to cook a romantic meal in. I would say forget it.
Spaghetti bolognese.
Yeah, but
what about a starter?
Starter, go back to the basics. Prawn cocktail. Except I wouldn't know how to make a prawn
Abigail's
cocktail.
party, this, isn't it?
No, I would give them
prawn cocktail, spag bol.
No,
what would you give him for dessert then?
Custard, sticky toffee pudding or something like that. But listen, I'd forget all that, pal. I'd forget all that, because what I'd do is, although it sounds romantic, and you're probably presuming the night will end in the bedroom, and that's why you want to do it at home, after a bit of smooching in front of the telly after dinner and all that, not a good idea. What you do is this. You go to, you take your lady to a restaurant, but before you go to the restaurant, an hour before you arrive there, you go yourself, you get the head waiter, give him 50 quid, give him a bunch of flowers, and give him the message that he's got to treat you like you are the best customer in the restaurant, and bring your lady the flowers just before the starters are served, OK? That's what I do all the time. That works.
All the time? When you say all the time, how frequently do you do that?
Whenever I take a lady out for dinner. And I always make sure that
So about once a year, then?
I recce out the restaurant first. I pay the head waiter loads and loads of money. And then she comes from the restaurant admiring me for being top customer, a man with influence and power, and then you have done the job of a romantic dinner at home, and it'll be heading for the bedroom, believe me.
Really? How smutty is that?
No, it's not smutty.
Speaking of which, here's one from Neil, who's tweeted at the 2 mics. I'm thinking of booking an illicit liaison with a married woman at the Essex House in New York.
Oh, yeah.
Have you any advice?
The Essex House Hotel, brilliant hotel. Get yourself a suite at the front of the hotel, so you've got a view over Central Park South, OK?
Is that what you did?
Yeah, I did, yeah. And to the left, you can see the Dakota building, where sadly John Lennon was gunned down.
Oh, that's cheery.
Yeah, well, it's cheery, but I mean, it's,
look, over there, somebody was murdered.
Yeah, well, it wasn't somebody, was it? It was John Lennon. Now, the other issue here, is that what you should also do is make sure that your suite is accessible enough to invite a few friends, because when you're in New York, you should, and have a little sort of champagne party.
Like a soiree.
Soiree.
Well, how's that going to help him with the illicit liaison? Well, then loads of people will know what he's trying to do.
I'll tell you why. No, they won't.
How do you squire her away?
I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about. Whenever I have sort of romanced a married lady, I always find they are much more relaxed in company rather than being on their own with you in a suite in a hotel and being overawed by the opulence of it all.
Yes.
Because it is an opulent hotel, you must admit, right?
Yeah, it's all right. It's not that good.
And whenever I took a lady once...
I prefer the Peninsula, personally.
I took a lady once to the... not the Park Lane Hilton, the one next door. I think it was called the Londonderry in those days, wasn't it?
You mean the Four Seasons?
The Four Seasons. So we're going to Four Seasons. I've got loads of air miles. I decided to get a suite there with a lady who was betrothed to somebody else. She was banjaxed. She'd never been treated like it in her life. Banjaxed. And in fact, when
sounds painful.
When we ordered some dinner up, later in the evening, she was absolutely staggered to see it arrive on a trolley. And because she'd never been in a hotel where they brought...
Did you have to take the TV off it?
That's so funny,
Oh, she'd never been in a hotel before.
Yeah,
They're real sophisticates you hang out with, aren't they?
No, they brought
What do you think they bring it in?
They put it on a trolley with all these silver salvers and all that kind of stuff. But all I'm saying is, make it opulent, make it expensive, but invite a few of your friends.
How about this for a piece
your
of
friends
advice?
around first to put her at ease.
How about this for a piece of advice? Don't go out with somebody else's wife.
Well, yes, but she's bored with life, wants a bit more excitement, wants to pep her sort of, her taste buds up, that sort of thing, for want of a better word. And you are there providing, really, a sort of domestic social service.
Yeah, quite.
In my
Maybe
view.
you should charge for it. Now, here's another question. This one comes in from LFC, is his Twitter handle.
Oh, yeah.
What are the benefits of having a housekeeper, and how does one go about finding a good one?
The benefits of having a housekeeper is that it means you can take your mind off all the drudgery of the domestic chores which we'll have to go through, OK? Like changing buttons.
You don't have to do anything, in other words.
You don't have to do anything. And, for instance, if you need a new washing machine, you leave that, which I'm getting at the moment, you leave that to your housekeeper. If you need your garden roses pruned, you leave that to your housekeeper. Right. Obviously, she does all the hoovering and washing, cooking, ironing, and all that kind of stuff.
Slavery?
No. What you're doing is trickle-down economics. You are you're taking some of the money that you extract from life and giving it to her.
How much should he pay, though, for something like that?
Well, I think a good housekeeper deserves about £20 an hour.
£20 an hour?
Yeah, about £20 an hour.
So you're paying her that for sewing on your buttons?
Absolutely, yes, yeah. And I pay for the buttons as well. So
that's good of you.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to buy her own buttons.
Yeah, no, she have to buy her own buttons, yeah.
So where does he find one, though?
Well, where you find a housekeeper is this. Lady Magazine is very good.
Is it?
But rather expensive in terms of, a housekeeper that you recruited from Lady Magazine, which incidentally used to be edited, I think, by
Boris Johnson's sister
Rachel.
I think it might still be.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is. I think they had a fallout, didn't they, with the owner or something. What I was going to say is you will find that a housekeeper recruited from the pages of Lady Magazine will probably expect to live in. Now, living in...
Yours doesn't live in.
It just doesn't live in. Now, I'll tell you a story about...
No, there's no time for a story. We've got loads of questions to get through.
Very quick story about a housekeeper.
So you've told him where to get it. No, you can tell me a quick story about a housekeeper later.
Okay.
We've got more questions
Okay,
here.
come on, let's go.
Here's one from, let's see, Jay. He says, my new neighbour just called round. I didn't ask to see his ID, but he seemed genuine.
Yeah.
Should I be worried about this?
Well, I think you need to be able to have a diploma in life skills.
Yeah.
And one life skill is looking at the face of a person and recognising whether they're genuine or not, okay?
Yeah.
Now, that's probably relating to the fact that a policeman knocked on my door the other night.
That's true, there is one there. I've forgotten about that.
He was my new neighbour, and I took him at face value, and of course...
Have you checked the place since then?
Absolutely. Absolutely fantastic.
He hasn't run away with all the stuff, has he?
Well, he hasn't got in, has he?
How do you know?
There's 3 locks on my door.
Well, how do you know that?
How would he get through my door?
Well, you haven't been down there since then, have you?
Well, he'd have to use a sledgehammer.
Well, he might have done. You're not there.
I doubt it very much.
Well, you're not there.
Well, I doubt it.
You might get down there at the weekend and find the place been cleaned out.
No, I'm a life judge. So all I'd say to you is...
plod.
All I'd say to you is this: you would demand respect from the person. It depends what the person says they are. If they say, "I've come to read the gas meter," then you don't let them in. If they say,
"Well, if they genuinely have come to read the gas meter?"
Read it for them. I wouldn't let them over the doorstep.
Really?
Well, if
not even they show you ID.
No. And by the way, anybody comes into my house to take their shoes off, and they don't like taking their shoes off. These gas meter guys.
Yeah.
And what I would say is that if you have any of the slightest suspicion of who the person is, make an excuse to keep him waiting. Say, just hang on a second, please.
Yeah.
I've just got to go and switch the cooker off, and then ring the cops. What are you laughing at?
Well, in your case, you just have to go next door.
Well, yeah, I would. You have to go next door. But if you think the person, because I mean, point is that they may be knocking on the door to find out if you're an old person, because an old person is vulnerable. Right, go on.
Here's one from somebody called Blakey.
Blakey.
Dear Porky, there's a happily married lady in our typing pool.
I hate you, Butler.
Who I'm looking to have full sex with. Do you have any tips?
Well, yeah, get on with it, so to speak. You know.
Okay,
but make sure
one more in.
Make sure you don't cause any internal office politic problems.
Yes.
Like she's not having a romance with somebody else,
right?
Or
Terry,
you're not having a romance with somebody else.
Terry says this: in light of the Chinese central bank rate cut having a transient effect, where next for iron ore prices?
Well, iron ore prices go up and down depending on how many coal-fired power stations the Chinese are building each week.
Right.
As I understand it from my contacts in Beijing, 3 more coal-fired power stations will be built next month. Iron ore price rising.
What? So this week it's going to go up?
I think so.
So it's a good time to buy then?
Good time to buy.
Fantastic stuff. And how about this one? Finally, and this is from S. Bruce in Hull.
Yes.
I was physically bullied at work yesterday. How should I approach this next time I see my assailant?
I'd get in there before he gets you, because I think, particularly if you're dealing with aggressive South American foreigners, which
American foreigners, as opposed to just regular foreigners.
That's right, yeah. Which I understand could have been involved in this situation.
Yes.
I'd put the boot in very, very quickly. I would just basically be very British about it.
Yeah.
And hit him while he's not looking.
Hit him while he's not looking?
Yes, definitely.
There's a lot of underhandedness going on.
Rabbit punches are good.
Thank you.
What you say is, OK, well, let's forget it. And as he turns around to walk away, punch him just at the nape of his neck and hope that you knock his face forward and it collides with a wall. Sorry, I'm not advocating violence, by the way. That's a joke. That was
Absolutely
a joke.
not. No.
A joke.
Well, that was Ask Porky for another week. Fantastic advice there. I think you'll find, not at any price could you get that sort of advice.
Exactly.
Here's one just to round it all off from Kevin, who says, a spag bowl as a romantic dinner. Mike Parry has finally lost the plot.
What?
He's gone mad.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.
For a time, I'm Mike Graham. Terribly sorry if we didn't get to read out any of your problems to Mr. Parry. We do save them all, so we might get another chance to do them next week. But if not, of course, bad luck. You'll just have to try harder next time. Now, I want to ask you about this thing that Steve Bruce got involved with Gus Poyet.
Yes.
Because I want you to listen to what he had to say about why he lost the plot on the touchline.
OK.
I don't know. That's twice today I've been accused of something that's once off Sparky, and today, I don't know. I don't really know what I'm supposed to have done. So you better ask us, because listen, we're grown men who've acted like a couple of children, and these things happen. You look back in the morning and you think, oh, God. But, listen, sometimes the red mist comes down and these things happen. But listen, I'll invite him in for a glass of beer, and I hope he accepts. I hope he really accepts, because it's a long way home and he's had a horrible night.
Now, there must have been an opportunity for you to respond to that. There must have been mornings when you've woken up and gone,
by the way,
God.
It's not that far, is it, from Hull to Sunderland?
It's not. I wondered about that.
Yeah, long way out.
It's not a long way home, is it?
They're both in Yorkshire,
just
virtually.
up the road.
Yeah, well, it's Yorkshire to Teesside, isn't it? Yeah. Well, of course you do. During a lifetime of my length and experience and interest and adventure, of course there's been things you regret the next morning.
Really?
Of course there are.
Well, like what?
Well, like, for instance...
When was the last time you woke up and went, oh, God, or dear God, as he says?
Yeah, probably after a bad Everton result, I should think, the night before, and you think, oh,
so that would be Monday,
really happen? Yeah, it would have been, actually. Yeah, you're right, yeah, because it wasn't...
Yeah, but that's not something you've done, though. I'm talking about something that you've done that you may have regretted.
Well, I don't know. I mean, all your life you do, don't you? When, for instance, you make a fool of yourself in a nightclub because you've had too much to drink, or you've split up with your girlfriend or something like that, or you've had a fallout with a colleague or something like that. It happens all the time. Thing is, Mike, if you live life in the fast lane, as I think I have done for most of my life, sometimes you go into overdrive. Sometimes you put the brake on too quickly.
Yeah.
Sometimes your car spins, you come off the road.
Yeah.
So you've got to be very, very aware of these
I'm one of
things.
those guys that has a very much a je ne regret rien kind of attitude to life. I don't regret anything that I've done.
Yeah, but you're not ambitious enough, you see.
Well, I'm very ambitious.
No, you're not. You're not ambitious enough. And you don't stretch yourself to try and achieve things that I achieve. You're the sort of guy...
Yeah, but I don't beat myself up about it either.
You're the sort of guy...
I think you spend a great deal of time beating yourself up about stuff that you shouldn't have done.
Don't be ridiculous.
I think you do.
Oh, you're mad.
I think you do.
You're off your rocker,
I think you've got many regrets in life.
My regrets are few and far between.
Yeah, but you've got them.
And if they're anything, they are anything. They are that I haven't. You see, my plan from a very early age, from sort of when I was 14 or 15,
when you started collecting the gold bars.
No, they weren't gold bars, were they? I keep telling you this.
Gold bars?
No, they were Krugerrands.
Krugerrands?
Yes, keep telling you.
What 14-year-old has Krugerrands?
Krugerrands are round.
It's a nonsense.
Bars, right. I decided from a very early age that I was going to reach for the stars.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, I never actually touched a star.
No.
But I got 2/3 of the way there.
Well, a bit like Icarus.
And sometimes 7/8 of the way there. No, Icarus fell because of the sun.
Yeah.
And it melted his wings.
Well, the sun's a star, isn't it?
Well, it's a burning star.
It's a star.
Well, it's not a star. It's not a star.
How is the sun not a star?
It's a planet. It's a planet.
It is not a planet.
Sun is a planet.
Absolute rubbish.
Now then, what I'm saying is, I decided to reach the stars. I got 7/8 of the way there.
Yeah.
Huge achiever in my view. I'm a huge
7/8 of the way there.
Yeah. And if you're a huge achiever, you sometimes regret not being a huger achiever, if you see what I mean.
That's what I mean. You're always disappointed.
No, I'm not disappointed.
You're one of those people that goes through life always being disappointed
No,
because
I'm
you
not.
never quite got enough. For example, let me give you a good example.
You're self-satisfied. I'm not.
Let me give you an example. Well, I'm happy.
No, you're not happy. You're not happy. You'd be happy, for instance, earning,
It's not about seeing money.
The basics.
Again, with you, it's all about money.
Money's very important.
Yeah.
A new research paper I've read this week says money is very, very important.
Is it by that guy in New Zealand?
No, it's not by the guy in New Zealand. No, the guy in New Zealand wrote the book on cats. This is a proper paper by a bunch of economists and lifestyle experts who say that money is terribly important.
Well, of course it's important.
And that not enough of us realise that.
But it's not the route to all happiness.
I realise it.
Yeah, but for you, it's the route to happiness. For you, it's a measure of success. For you, it is what the difference is between you making it and not making it.
Let me tell you this.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to back up my argument here, and you're knocking it down. Psychologists said holidays or trips to the theatre gave people the most pleasure, but do not take too many jaunts.
Yeah,
jaunts.
you shouldn't say any joints, really.
No.
It's illegal.
You'll become jaded
Not
and
if you
not
want to move to
appreciate
Colorado,
the time away. Money makes you happy, provided you don't have too much. Now, what is it? That's what they're saying. And to get the most out of your cash, you must have suffered poverty first. Now, I've suffered poverty.
Yeah.
Have you suffered poverty?
Sure.
Exactly. We've all suffered relative poverty.
It's better to have money than not to have it.
And you've got to suffer...
But you mustn't live your life around it, is what I'm saying.
Well, this comes from the annual convention.
The point about money, for me, is that it gives you the ability to do a great many more things, which is nice.
I totally agree. It gives you ability to do many more things, gives you individual freedom, gives you financial control over your own life, and it gives you the ability to be able to say no to things that you don't want to do when people want you to do them.
Sure.
Now, these results were presented at the annual convention for the Society for Personality and Social Psychology in Long Beach, California. Okay?
Yeah.
And another study published in the Journal of Psychological Science suggests that delaying a purchase for about 3 or 4 weeks when you know you can afford it brings you to a height of happiness.
Does it?
Because you deprive yourself of that satisfaction feeling.
I don't bother with that. No. If I want something, I'll go and buy it.
And another study by Harvard Business School.
I know that sort of didn't register with you at all.
Yes, it did, but I dismissed it.
Well, no, you just
rubbish.
You just rolled right over it.
I dismissed it as being rubbish. Now, you would agree with me the Harvard Business School is a useful a group of people, useful bunch of people.
A useful bunch of people.
Useful bunch of people.
Well, it's a very esteemed institution, if that's what the phrase you're looking for.
Listen to this.
That bloke that you were talking about the other day, wasn't it? The Morrison's chief who went from Trent Poly to Harvard Business School.
That's right. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Now listen to this.
They've obviously dropped their standards a bit.
No. Harvard and Yale have found, this is, I think, the best of the report. Wealthy individuals are only happy when they have the thought of getting even more money to make them even happier.
Yeah, so in other words, they're not happy.
Well, wealthy individuals are not happier.
You're just making my point.
Hang on.
That if you regard money as the root of all happiness, you will never be happy because you'll never have enough money.
Lead researcher.
You always want more.
lead researcher Michael Norton says wealthy individuals are not happier as their wealth increases. Happiness may be negatively related to income.
Exactly.
So you could get unhappier the richer you get. That's amazing.
And there's also plenty of happy people who don't have any money as well because they know what else is important in life. Yeah. That's my point.
Reminding individuals the future can be unpredictable drives people to stop and smell the roses.
Yes.
How about that?
And that's very important. And I think as you get older, you realise that there are more important things in life than money.
Maybe you do.
But you've never reached that.
Listen, we're going to talk wine for a minute.
Yeah,
right?
let's talk about wine.
Supermarket wine that's only 75% of the real thing. I have discovered. I don't know. It's some mad wine has been imported to the country.
Mad wine?
Yeah, from Spain.
Right.
And it's now called wine-based drink. It's
Really?
not called wine. And only 75% of it is wine.
Well, what's the rest of it then?
I don't know. It says...
Well, why don't you know?
It's sold in Sainsbury and Morrison's. It's called Copper. And,
Copper?
Yeah. And it has the same alcohol content and price as genuine wine, but the only clue it's not the real thing is label small print.
And what's the point of it, though?
Well, I'm just trying to find out. I've read this research paper.
You researched it before you came in.
No, I've only found it a few minutes ago.
Uh-huh.
The Australian drinks are made up of a blend of, here we go, 75%.
I thought you said it was from Spain.
It's from Australia. Sorry, I thought
You said it was from Spain.
It's not from Spain. It's not from Spain.
Right, okay.
Made up of 75% of real wine and must.
Must?
Must.
What, M-U-S-T?
Yeah, that's the other content.
What's that?
It's filtered grape juice squeezed from the fruit before the fermentation process.
Oh, yeah. So it's some kind of byproduct of wine?
25% of it is, yeah.
Well, is it cheaper or something?
No, it's the same price.
Well, why would you buy it?
It says the must, M-U-S-T, is not listed on the label because unlike other food and drink products, there's no legal requirement to list all the ingredients in wine.
Well, that's a bit worrying, isn't it?
It's called Copper Red and Copper White. It's 12.5% alcohol.
So it's just as strong as any other wine.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
And it costs £6.25 a bottle.
So it's more expensive than some wine.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So what's the point of it then?
I don't know.
Well, why have you brought it up if you don't know the answers?
Well,
to all
because
these
it's an oddity. It's an oddity. Here, a spokesman for Sainsbury's says Copper Australian Red is clearly labelled as a wine-based drink. Every wine product we offer is clearly labelled as such. I don't know. Why would you buy a bottle of wine that's only 75% wine?
I don't understand.
Why would you?
I just don't understand.
I don't understand this.
Maybe we should get a real expert on who can actually explain it to us.
Well, no. I mean, some people must like... Perhaps people like weaker wine, maybe. Maybe. Well, if it's 12.5%, that's quite strong, isn't it?
Well, 12, yeah, I mean, some of the stronger reds are up to sort of 14%. Those are the ones you have to look out for.
So you know these things, don't you?
Yeah, I do know quite a bit about wine.
Well, no, about the strength of wine. I mean, you like to drink strong wines.
Well, I don't actually. I mean, to be honest, unless it's a very, very sort of cold winter's day, I know you don't want me to speak, but you just have to keep quiet for a minute. It's not wise to drink more than a bottle of 14% wine because you'll get very drunk quite quickly.
Most people don't drink more than a glass.
Eh?
You're talking about a bottle.
Well, I drink wine by the bottle, yeah.
Anybody who drinks a glass of wine, their face improves after one glass of wine. Your cheeks become rosy, your eyes become sparkling.
No, that's just the person who's drunk the wine who's looking at you.
No. But after 3 glasses of wine, your face becomes fat and podgy,
by the way.
like yours does.
You've seen the time.
Fat and podgy.
Look at the time.
Your eyes narrow. You get lines in your head, and your double chins pushed down because of the effect of swallowing wine.
Look into the light for a
moment. And you look like that all the time.
Look into the light.
You look like that without wine.
Yeah, I know.
Look at the light.
I don't need it. Maybe I'll drink wine substitute instead. This is Talk Sport.
Newcastle.
Across to Cisse. Cisse takes it round the goalkeeper and finishes from 4 yards out.
Versus Manchester United.
Here's Valencia down the right side into the wing position. Pulls it back. Here's Rooney.
Well, it is daunting, but it's exciting, you know. I mean, I love a challenge, and the players are up for the challenge.
We have to be there at the end of the season, but therefore you have to win your matches because the other clubs are winning the matches.
For whatever reason, we seem to get up for it, the fans are up for it, and it usually is an entertaining game. They have some super players going forward.
Di Maria works it onto his right foot and just passed the ball crisply into the bottom right-hand corner.
But we are vulnerable in certain areas, and we hopefully can exploit that.
Newcastle United lead at St James's Park.
That is a dream goal for Manchester United. And Newcastle have won it in the last few seconds of the match. And an all-important away 3 points for Manchester United.
This is TalkSport Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. He's Mike Parry. Live tonight, of course, it's Newcastle United against Manchester United. We'll see whether Liverpool come up into fourth place. Got a couple of tweets to read out to you, Mr. Parry,
okay.
I have to say.
Right.
A lot of people are making a lot of noise about you trying to take over. Paul says this: Porky's advice on whining and dining ladies sounds like something Del Boy would do. Slip a fiver in the waiter's pocket. Ha ha.
Oh, no, it's more than a fiver. More than five. I might go in and give the guy 50 quid.
That's ridiculous.
To make sure that, I'm treated like number one banana in that restaurant.
Dave the Milk says, bag bowl, classic. Porky getting his romantic tips from Lady and the Tramp. And Carl says, Porky, you're an absolute clown. You're even funnier than your team will be against the mighty Potters later tonight.
Yeah,
and James says, Porky has spent his life upsetting people. His self-obsession is out of control. MG, please speak. He's making out that you don't let me speak.
What do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I have
either.
more to say than you have.
Yeah, I know you do, but most of it's rubbish. Stephen says, the sun is a planet, ? Are you sure, Mike Parry? Guess we can rule out an astronomy quiz anytime soon. That's a good idea. We haven't done an astronomy quiz.
I don't know anything about astronomy.
You don't know anything about it?
No.
That's the first time you've ever admitted anything like that.
No, it's not.
I think we're finally getting through to you.
No, I don't believe in all this
Your
planetary...
childlike brain is finally picking up on the vibes that have been coming across for a while.
I don't believe in all this planetary stuff, OK?
Henry says, the sun isn't a star, it's a planet. What a plank Porky is. How do you get an interview at Oxford with that way of thinking?
Well, because I was one of the brightest students.
You sure
at the
they
King's
didn't want to
School
put you in
Chester?
a cage and have you as an exhibit for other people to study?
That is so unfunny, I'm not going to comment on it. Right, a chap here called Cleveland says, did Mike Parry regret getting thrown out of White Hart Lane that time? Ha, ha, ha. I didn't get thrown out of White Hart Lane.
You didn't actually get thrown out. You got invited back, bizarrely.
I did.
Which a lot of people are quite surprised about.
Yeah.
Here's James. He says, tell Porky to try Thunderbird from Oz, rocket fuel wine. That's that fortified wine the bums used to drink in New York, wasn't it? Thunderbird.
They drink it here in Yates's Wine Lodge, don't they? Or used to. Yates's Wine Lodges aren't that bad. Yeah, they're not that bad these days.
Yates's Wine Lodges are horrible.
Well, they're not that bad these days. They're a bit upmarket now, a bit more upmarket than they used to be. They used to be for winos, and now they're for sort of people who like, what's the word, economy drink, so to speak.
Right.
Now then, one here, right, it says here, I don't think Mike Parry likes himself. He stated last week didn't care if he lived or died. You are jealous, Mike Parry, as a fortune... Oh, no, this is you. Did you state that you didn't care whether you lived or died last week?
No, that was you.
I think you did.
No, that was you.
It says IROMG, that's you.
No, that was you.
Stated last week, didn't care if you lived or died. You are jealous of Mike Parry, who is a force of nature. So that's
well, I'm
directed
certainly
at you.
not. And Alex has explained that strange wine story you came out with. He says it's the same for tequila. Most of the readily available tequilas are only 50% agave, most of the better-known ones. Yes, they're cheaper, but they're also nowhere near as good. It's like comparing Bell's whiskey to Glenfiddich. So like this new wine, why buy it?
I totally agree. Now, Liz here, who gives us a regular nightly message, she says, you're two Mikes, you're like two grown men that behave like a couple of children. And she says, of me, just because I'm miserable doesn't mean you have to be, Mike, you know?
No.
So she's trying to make out that I want to impress my misery upon you.
You do?
I don't. I don't want anything to do with your life.
Yeah, well,
your life's been disgraceful.
You are a bad influence. And Russ
disgraceful.
in Birkenhead has actually worked out what you were confused about with the spires. He said Dreaming Spires, Oxford, Rumbling Spires, T-Rex. So it must be a T-Rex song that's running around inside your head.
Rumbling
Spires.
I know all the T-Rex records. It's not.
Well, you've got the best of T-Rex, haven't you?
No, I haven't, actually.
Haven't you?
No, but I've got...
What have you got? Ride a White Swan?
Ride a White Swan.
Have you?
Ride a White Swan.
Blimey.
And I've got the one that
surprised me.
Jeepster appears on as well. It's my favourite T-Rex record.
Is it?
You're so sweet.
Don't sing. Don't
You're
sing.
so fine.
No, we don't want you to sing. I'll tell you what, if you do want to sing, you should take up wassailing. Here we go, a wassailing. Have you ever heard of that song?
No.
It's like a sort of a festive,
yes,
almost not really a carol, but people sing it around Christmas time, and it's all to do with the rebirth of the apple crop.
Is this all the pagan stuff?
Yeah, it's a bit pagan.
Yeah,
and it's something that's been going on. When I lived in the West Country,
right,
this was something that they would do around the sort of Morris dancing pole.
Well, I've seen all this. I've seen all the Morris dances.
And they'd have like a wassailing night in the pub.
And what do they do when they're wassailing?
Well, it's a kind of it's just kind of choral singing, really. It's just singing all together with people.
I mean, what do they do? Like grab apples out of a bowl?
Well, it's meant to be about the charming of the apples from the trees, and it's all a bit like, you know, when they have harvest festivals and things like that in the countryside, which is very nice, actually.
Of course it is.
One of the nice things about living in the country is that you notice the seasons. And
so you're thinking of taking up wassailing, are you?
No, not me. I'm thinking you should. I mean, you're the one that's always trying to sing. You're obviously a frustrated singer of some kind.
I have no objection to the Morris dancers. People mock them roundly and say that, you know, men prancing around with bells.
I think that's lovely to see.
Tied around their ankles and hankies and all that kind of stuff. If it's part of that, I'm all for it.
I think it's very good.
But the pagan thing, you see, I'm not sure about the pagan thing. I don't know if my religious convictions can allow me.
Well, did you go to church last Sunday, for example?
Not last Sunday.
No, why not?
Well, I didn't have time.
You didn't have time?
No.
So you don't go every Sunday?
Well, I went to Everton, didn't I?
Yeah.
I went to Arsenal last Sunday, so I didn't have time. Didn't have time.
So you don't go every Sunday then?
I don't go every Sunday.
Well, so do you make up for it then by going in a week?
No, but I make up by praying doubly hard the following week when I go to church. Yes.
You pray?
Of course you pray when you go to church.
What do you pray for?
You pray for salvation.
Salvation?
Yes, and you pray...
You really are messed up, aren't you?
No, and you sing songs. I like singing songs,
well, you should take up wassailing.
Jerusalem.
Don't sing! For heaven's sake.
My favourite song, by the way, is Land of Hope and... It's not Land of Hope and Glory, it's the Cup Final song, you know. You know what I'm
Abide With Me.
Abide With Me.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Well, you won't be singing that this year, will you?
Why not?
Well, you're not in the Cup Final.
Well, I might go.
Yeah, but Everton are not going to be in it.
No, Everton are not going to be in it, but I have been to 27 Cup Finals.
Why would you go to a Cup Final?
Well, it's part of my job, wasn't it?
You've been to 27 Cup Finals. It's funny, interesting that, because, you know, the quiz is on the FA Cup this week.
Is it?
That's what you asked for last night.
Fine, yeah, okay, yeah.
Have you forgotten that already?
No, I haven't forgotten
Anyway,
that.
if you want to take part in proper wassailing, right, you can go to Devon, go to Dorset, go to Gloucestershire, Somerset.
I'm sure you get it in Hampshire as well.
You might get it in
where
Hampshire.
I live.
It won't be quite as authentic, though.
Now, about the pagan thing, right, because this is very interesting you've brought this up. The pagan thing, I once decided to go and sit on the Tor in the middle of the night.
Glastonbury
Tor.
Yeah. Very cool up there, isn't it?
To see if I could sense any paganism, you see what I mean?
Did you sense any kind of power, like the ley lines? Or
well,
like
that's what I was going to find out. So I went up there in the middle of the night, walked up all those steps right to the top.
Was anybody else up there?
Nobody else up there. And it was quite eerie, actually, because there is a little building on the top, which resembles a church.
Yeah.
That's why it's called Glastonbury Thor, I suppose.
Thor.
The Thor.
It's not Thor.
Yeah, is that the
god.
Is that the Thor building or whatever?
Well, no, the Thor is a god, isn't he? The
well,
Norse god.
So what's the building on the top of the hill?
Glastonbury Tor?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's just a little hut, isn't it?
It's not a hut. It's made of stone.
Yeah, it's just a hut made of stone.
I thought I'd find sort of, romantic couples up there or something like that. I thought, what's a good place for them to go if they've got nowhere else to go? You know what I mean?
Well, luckily for you, they weren't there.
No, they weren't there, no. And,
but isn't the Tor just the name of the hill, though? It's not the name of the church, is it?
I don't know. I assumed it's the name of the church.
Is it?
But listen, funny enough, talking about places where you get spirits and all that, right? And I don't know where this is coming from in my head, but it's linked.
Yeah, nobody knows where it's coming from in your head.
Did you see that archaeologists in Jerusalem, or not even Jerusalem actually, Nazareth, have discovered what they think was Jesus Christ's home?
Really?
And it's
at what time?
Hey?
At what time?
Well, when he was a child.
When he was a child? Or when he was older?
No, when he was a child, being brought up
childhood
by
home.
his mother Mary, and what was Jesus' father called?
God.
No. the one on earth.
We've done that one before. Joseph, the carpenter.
Joseph, the carpenter. And apparently...
His stepfather, effectively.
Exactly. And apparently it was built into the side of the mountain.
A lot of people lived like that, didn't they?
That's right.
They lived in caves, effectively.
Effectively. Well, it's dug into the mountain with a proper entrance. I've seen the picture of it. I've got a picture of it here somewhere, and it looks so authentic. And what I was going to say was the first time.
What do you mean it looks authentic? We ran out of time again, by the way.
I know, it looks like a house from that age. What I was going to say was, first time I ever went to Jerusalem, Old Town, I was walking around the streets of the Old Town, seriously, quite seriously, very, very narrow little streets, so biblical you couldn't believe it. I could swear the presence of Jesus Christ was with me. I think I might have even seen him, because people were walking around in flowing robes and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, it had a magical effect on me. It actually burnt Christianity into my brain.
Did you find a bar?
More so. Well, I was staying at a hotel called the American Colony, which was the journalist bar in Jerusalem.
Got a bar there,
and there were...
seen the time, by the way.
They've got about 4 bars there. Yeah. So I went back and had a drink.
Yeah, of course. That was how deeply you were affected by it. He is Mike Parry. I'm Mike Graham. There will be a podcast coming up very shortly. Parrylosophy coming up next.
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Freedom for sport.
Can we kick it? Yes, we can. Talk Sport.
'Cause a night has 1,000 eyes, and 1,000 eyes can't help but see if you...
So, the night has 1,000 eyes. Well, if the night has 1,000 eyes, let's give some of them to referees of football grounds, OK? because referees only have one pair of eyes. That's only 2 eyes. And there's so much going on a football field these days, the refs cannot cope, OK? Now, what do I mean about giving the ref 1,000 eyes? Well, what I mean is there's not 1,000 cameras in a football ground, but there's many dozens of cameras and camera angles, and the only person who doesn't get the advantage of seeing those camera angles when something controversial happens is the referee. We're all sitting there in the crowd looking at our, not laptops, but looking at our iPods, looking at our phones. We're looking at even the big screen to see things that are replayed again that the referee doesn't get. Now then, love has many, many splendid ways, said this song, but there's not much love on the football fields at the moment. For instance, the situation involving Stephen Ireland. Hull City defender Maynor Figueroa goes in on him, and it's said to be one of the worst gashes in a leg seen this season, but no action was taken. That's because the ref has not had the opportunity to have a look at it again. Let me tell you this, why can't the referee be given a laptop, be given a tab, be given whatever, but be given something, even if it's a newfangled wristwatch, to look at the action again and make his own mind up? If we haven't got the technology for that, why doesn't the fourth official rush onto the pitch with a tablet, which is about 6 inches by 9 inches, and show the replay to the referee so he make an instant decision? Yes, I do not want to hand over the game to new technology. Of course, there's got to be a human instinct and a human reaction, but the ref is at a terrible disadvantage if he can't see what's going on through electronic wizardry, and everybody else can. Recent games involving Chelsea and Burnley. Ashley Barnes of Burnley plants his studs into Branislav Ivanich's leg, yet avoids a booking. It's happening all the time. Robert Green, the QPR goalkeeper, yard outside his penalty area when he blocks the ball with a hand as Wayne Routledge of Swansea runs behind him, but the offence is missed by the officials. It's happening every week, and it can be stopped. Let me say this. The ref has only got 2 eyes. He's only got 1 pair of eyes, but I believe he should have something like 1,000 pairs of eyes.
If you are true to me.
I think there's a few mistakes in that one.
No, it's not.
He doesn't want 1,000 pairs of eyes. It's 1,000 eyes, which is 500 pairs of eyes.
You're better off with 1,000 pairs of eyes.
And it wasn't Ivanko, it was Matic that got the studs from Mr. Barnes.
Do you have to start splitting hairs again?
But other than that, quite a good idea.
Let's start splitting hairs again.
Quite a good idea.
I've got it, you know, I got it all right. You're wrong, I'm right. I want to talk now to Ross here about rugby.
Yeah.
I said to you, Ross, a few weeks ago, we're at a terrible disadvantage in England rugby, having an England rugby coach who was a former school teacher.
Yeah, which was ridiculous.
I've been proved right.
No, you haven't.
No, it wasn't ridiculous.
No, you haven't been proved right
at all. It was absolutely spot on.
Mike, because one game happened in such a manner, that doesn't make you right, does it? Obviously.
I didn't like the way...
He makes himself right even when he's not right.
Hang on.
Self-proclaimed.
I didn't like the way that, you know, the head coach, as he termed himself, said afterwards... Oh, don't worry, because, you know, the championship's been won over the last 2 or 3 years when the team that's won it has lost 1 game. That's defeatist talk.
No, he's being honest because
talk.
The Six Nations is a far tighter tournament than it used to be because there are lots more good teams in it than there used to be. So all he said is that for the last several number of games and several number of years, there's been at least 1 defeat for everybody. Grand Slams, Mike, are very, very rare these days. So it's generally 2 or 3 teams that win 4 and lose 1.
Who won it last year?
Ireland.
Yeah.
Well, basically,
didn't they lose a game last year?
Well, yeah, to England.
Right.
So basically, what happened last year is Ireland lost to England, but Ireland still nicked it on points just on the final day. The opposite could easily happen this year, Mike, because Ireland has still got to go to Wales next. That's going to be hard. England have got 2 home games to come.
You think
it's
England
quite
feasible?
Let me finish. It's quite feasible that obviously England could just about pinch it on points difference and still be champions.
But
which
this is
exactly
defeatist
happened last
talk.
year. Winning
But you said England were going to win.
Defeatist winning the Six Nations.
No, but you said England were going to win on Saturday, didn't you?
Okay, well, you said that Wales were going to beat England the other week.
Yeah,
so you were wrong 1 week, I was wrong 1 week.
But nobody's steamrolling anybody.
How does that make you more right than me across the 3 weeks?
What makes me more right is I told you Lancaster's a dud, and he is a dud.
Why? Because they've lost a game.
Yeah, because they lost a game,
and
they didn't win the first 2 with any great confidence.
I was right when England beat Wales. You were right when Ireland beat England. So you were right once, I was right once. How does that make you more right than me across 3 weeks?
Are you saying we have to wait until the end of the tournament?
Well, yeah.
No, Lancaster talks like a school
teacher. That would be a very
teacher.
sensible thing to do, Mike, wouldn't it? Wait till the end of the tournament.
Not necessarily, because it doesn't change who Lancaster is as far as he's concerned.
No, you've got to be able to see forward. You can't wait until things pan out. You've got to look forward. You've got to be proactive in your criticism, because if you're not proactive in your criticism, nothing will change.
But you were proactive in your criticism about the Wales game, and England won it.
I don't care about that.
Why? Because it doesn't fit in with your argument.
That's in the past.
No, it fits in perfectly with my argument, and my argument is that Lancaster's not good enough to take the England team to a championship. We won't get it. You know that. I know that. I don't know why you're sitting there making out that you're some kind of an expert on rugby, which you may be, and if you are...
I thought you were an expert on rugby.
If you are, you're even more at fault for staring the facts in the face and coming up with the erroneous conclusion.
What I would say as well is, and this was a point we did touch upon a few weeks ago, that England is still without some serious big hitters who've been out for this whole tournament.
Why doesn't he play
when we start
Cipriani?
looking ahead to the World Cup,
why doesn't he play
you've got
Cipriani?
people like Joe Launchbury, Manu Tuolangi to throw in. That was an interesting one, and I don't quite understand why he didn't bring Danny Cipriani on. That's a very fair point.
Yeah,
that's one element.
Yeah, I'm afraid we're out of time. Have you seen the time, both
head.
of you? Have you seen the time? Look into the light, both of you. This is Talk Sport.
Light all the fires, it's a king of the rambling spires. Light all the fires, it's a king and he's coming home.
I don't actually know this T-Rex song, do you?
Well, I kind of do, yeah, because I was a big T-Rex fan. Things like Jeepster, and Telegram Sam and all that. I used to love all that. That was called glitter rock, right?
Yeah.
And I was very into glitter rock when I was that sort of age, sort of my 14, 15 year age.
This is quite an early one, apparently. It was when they were technically known as Tyrannosaurus
Rex. And this
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Tyrannosaurus Rex, and they made White Swan, Riding White Swan. And the great thing about...
Mickey Finn on drums.
Mickey Finn, yeah, what a strange name for a guy, that was his name. But Mark Bolan, who was, of course, the genius behind Tyrannosaurus Rex, he died young, but he didn't die young because of drugs or anything like that.
No, he crashed his car.
No, he didn't. His girlfriend did. His girlfriend was driving his Mini across Barnes Heath, and for some unknown reason, the car left the road and hit a tree. Right. And if you go there to this day, and this is like 30 years on, 35
Gloria
years
Jones,
on.
her name was, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's still the tree is still
Was it a Mini?
Yeah, it was a Mini. Yeah, it was a Mini. The tree is still a shrine to him. So but now, he made great songs.
He did.
Yeah,
he did. He was a bit of a genius, actually.
It was an era. It was an era. Yeah,
I know it was an era. Never mind all that. I've got some tweets to read out to you.
Right.
Here's one from We Are the Resistance, who says, Porky, who has Christianity built into his brain, didn't even know who that Joseph was, the father of Jesus Christ on earth.
Of course I did.
And here's one from John, who says, I don't know about giving the referee a tablet, but I think Porky needs a tablet, a very strong one. And James says, I'm laughing out loud at Porky, the sun's a planet. I don't care for planetary things. Is he the new Patrick Moore?
No.
You look a bit like Patrick Moore.
Oh, no, don't be ridiculous. Patrick Moore's twice my age.
He's dead, actually.
Of course he is, yeah, sorry. But he was twice my age just before he died.
He came on this show once, actually. Brilliant man.
Yeah.
Really amazing guy.
I've spoken to him a couple of times as well. Fantastic British eccentric.
Yeah.
We love him, don't they? Yeah. Amazed he wasn't in a James Bond film, really, because he was that sort of character.
Yeah, he could have been Q, couldn't he?
Yeah. Listen, do you still live on the ground floor, so to speak?
Well, I mean, I have a house that has a ground floor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
it's not really it's not like a ground floor flat or anything like that.
But you know why I ask?
Why?
Because when I walk across the North and South Downs to get the heart into shape, which I do.
How's that going?
Only 1/3 of my heart works.
Is that right?
Yeah. And so what happens is I sometimes end up coming back to a station called Cheam.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's a little restaurant where I go for lunch, right? See people and that kind of stuff.
A pub?
No.
I'm sure it's not a pub.
It's kind of gastro.
Do you actually spend any time... Have you ever spent... When was the last day you spent without going to the pub?
Oh, I don't go to the pub every day.
Yeah, you do.
They're ridiculous.
I bet you do.
I don't. I sure. Anyway, let me just finish the story.
Okay, go on.
Now, as you leave the station and walk into the village, you walk past a row of cottages on your right.
Yeah.
They're called railway cottages.
What, right by the station?
Right by the station. Literally, right up almost to the railway line,
yeah.
And the amazing thing about them is that all the windows in the front of the house have all got shutters or curtains or blinds.
And do they face south? Does the sun shine in that way?
Let me just think about it. Hang on. No, I think it's north, south, east. I think they face east. But anyway, that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is, do you remember Tony Hancock?
Vaguely.
I remember him vaguely.
Yeah.
I mean, his famous quote
slightly
was...
before my time.
A pint of blood, that's nearly an armful, or something like that. He was before my time as well.
Yeah.
But I do remember somebody telling me that famously he lived in a mythical cottage called 5 Railway Cuttings, East Sheen, apparently. And I just thought, that sounds
it was 23, actually.
23, okay, that's
but that's not bad remembrance, I have to say.
And, you know, when you hear that, you think, how romantic it is to live in a little cottage near a railway, you know, very English and all that. But the thing about these people who live in these cottages, and they are very quaint cottages, they are built like cottages, you know.
Very small inside.
Very small inside, probably, and roses around the doorway and all this kind of stuff, But
they're not thatched, are they?
No, they're not thatched, no. But they've been built in style, to the style of the area.
Yeah.
And my point is that anybody who lives in those has cut themselves off for life twice a day, in the morning rush hour and the evening rush hour, when people are piling up this little side road up to the station and piling out again. Yeah. They are all staring into the windows of the people who live in these cottages, and that's why they shutter them and close them. Well, what sort of a life is that?
Well, I presume it's partly as well because, like a lot of people who bought houses, you know, years and years ago, they didn't expect the road to get so busy. They didn't expect this particular train station.
Well, no, that station's always been there.
Yeah, no, it has
always been there.
No, but the number of people who now commute into London from places like that has probably increased by 100-fold.
Maybe,
you know?
but
instead of having like 10 people walking past the window, now it's 100.
But I think those properties are unsaleable now. I mean, I'm not sure how you could possibly sell one.
It's a bit like in the Cotswolds, you know, when you go to these places like Lower Slaughter and all that. I mean, in the summertime, there's so many tourists knocking around that if you live there... I went and stayed once with Paul Callan, who's got a place down there. And you know, there
He's still alive, Paul?
Well, this was a few years ago, but he is still alive,
Yeah, I saw him write a piece, actually, for the Daily Express recently.
Well, he must be still alive.
He's about 75, 76.
Something like that.
Yeah, but that's only a few months ago. He could have died since then.
Well, he might have done.
His daughter, Jessica, writes for somebody.
She writes for a magazine now.
Okay, go on.
She's one of the 3am girls. Anyway, so, I mean, people were literally walking past the window all the time and just looking in.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of going, oh, isn't this a lovely, quaint little cottage? They weren't necessarily all Americans.
That's right.
But loads of these little villages
they
are like
put on American accent.
And I once stayed in a place in Corfe, which was like that.
Corfe. And it's down on the Jurassic coast.
It is, down in Dorset. Well, it actually is where Corfe Castle is.
Yeah.
And people all the time would walk past and just stare in the window.
So what I'm saying,
I did the same thing. I shut the curtains. I wouldn't have liked living there.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So, see, this is why I've never lived on the ground floor. Of all the apartments I've ever bought,
but
all
you must
the
have had a house, though. Have you never had a house that had a ground floor?
That's why I don't like living in a house.
Really?
Seriously, I do not like living in a house.
Why don't you live in a house with stilts, you know, so it could be kind of raised up and you could park underneath it?
Difficult to find a house like that, to be honest.
You could build one like that.
You could build one like that, yeah. But I don't like houses that... I don't like being on the ground floor. I feel uneasy on the ground floor. The one thing I just can't stand, and how anybody could do it, I don't know, is sleeping on the ground floor. It makes me feel so uncomfortable.
Really?
I'm always worried that there's some nutty stalker outside peering in through your window.
Well, wearing a police uniform.
No, not wearing a police uniform, you fool. But what I'm saying is, the last time I had a proper house, it was in a place called Banstead, and it was what you call a townhouse. It was under terrace and all that. So I had a garden that swept all the way around 3 sides of the house.
Yeah, so it wasn't like the windows were right on the street.
No, it wasn't. But because it backed onto the countryside, I was always worried somebody's going to climb over the fence or the garden.
Well, that's a kind of irrational fear,
No, it's not. I would start peering in through my window. So I close the curtains all the time.
But what about when you're in a flat? Do you not worry that somebody's going to break in or something?
No, people can't get
climb up the scaffolding?
No, people can't break into my places. They are just too secure.
Well, I know you've got those big, heavy, metal bars on the doors and everything.
No, I haven't.
You've got bars on the windows as well?
No, I've got a metal gate.
You've got bars on the front door? It's like a prison door.
It's not.
I've seen it.
I've got a metal gate which closes onto the outer door.
Yes.
Okay? Simple as that.
It's like a prison door.
It's not a prison door.
Yeah, it is.
It's not, because it's white and all the metal is shaped like beautiful flowers. It's not like bars.
It's still
not like
bars.
a cell. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not. And you're giving a completely false impression
exactly
to
like
our millions of listeners about the sort of environment in which I live. And at my other place... The other place that I live...
But what about when you grew up as a child?
Doors,
Did you have a ground floor as a child?
Oh, yeah, of course we did.
And is that what caused you to have this fear and panic about living on the ground floor?
No.
Did you get broken into?
No, not at all.
Did you get stalked by some madman?
No. But
why have you got these irrational
fears?
Because
when you're a kid, you believe that you have a mother and father, a mum and dad, who will protect you from the bogeyman, right? Yeah. So he's not going to break in and give you
but now there's no one to protect you from the bogeyman.
Well, exactly. This is what I'm saying.
Is that what you're worried about?
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe the bogeyman doesn't exist.
Maybe it's a rational childhood thing. But I can't understand anybody.
You are a very complex person, aren't you?
No, I can't understand anybody who likes living on the ground floor. For instance, if you live in an apartment, if you live on the ground floor, it means you've got 2 or 3 apartments above you.
Yeah.
That's not good vibes. That's just not good
Well,
vibes.
you don't like people living above you?
No, I don't.
You've got people living above you in some of your places.
Mostly I've always tried to buy on the top floor.
Yeah.
There's just one or two down on the coast who live above me, but they don't actually live above me because the building moves inwards towards the middle, if you see what I mean.
It's in stage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's how come you call it a penthouse, even though it's not at the top?
Because it is the highest apartment at that level in the building. You see what I mean?
Well, it isn't.
It is.
There isn't one above it directly.
No, you have to go back
but
one.
Part
and
of
above.
Part of it must have something above it.
No. It's clear.
It's a strange way to put a building up.
No, it's not. It's not. It means that the balcony can actually be built into the building rather than something stuck on side.
What about in Surrey?
I'm at the top.
You're at the top?
That's why I've got the roof garden.
On the 4th floor?
Exactly.
Right.
And that's why I've got the roof garden and all that kind of stuff. But I honestly think that rural living is so overrated, mate. I just don't know why anybody would do it. I mean,
because the countryside is a very beautiful place.
Sorry?
Countryside is a very beautiful place.
Yes, it is, but it's boring. It can be boring. Very, very boring.
Well, that depends again what you're looking for.
If you drive through,
you're looking for constant stimulation.
Yes,
you can. I am. You can find anything boring after a
while. No. You go.
What's wrong with sitting down in a garden reading a book?
Look, one of these days.
What's wrong with sitting in a garden reading a book?
Boring.
You find that boring?
I'd find that incredibly boring.
I think that says that you've got a very sort of small mind.
If you lived in a village...
No imagination.
If you lived in a village...
I have lived in a village.
Yeah, exactly. And there's 2 pubs, right?
I've lived in a village with 1 pub.
1 pub, there you go. 1 pub, that's even worse. 1 shop, 1 sort of street that runs through the village.
Yeah.
That means whenever you go out for a drink, you go to the same pub.
No, not at all.
And that means you've got to talk to other people.
No, it doesn't.
It does, because they're your neighbours and all this kind of stuff. And the landlord will say, "Oh, good to see you, Mike. How's things today? What do you think of Everton?" And I'm thinking, I don't know why you're talking to me. I don't want to know. But Bogue said to me in a pub the other day...
Well, hang on, you opened a pub in Surrey the other week.
I did, yeah.
Because you were a frequenter of the place and they wanted you to do it.
It was very successful.
So they obviously know you in there.
Yes, they do, yeah.
So, there must be all sorts of pubs where they know you.
Well,
what about that pub where the guy threw you out with the pool cue?
Well, he didn't.
Because he didn't like all your Beatles music.
Well, he didn't. He just got a bit aggressive.
Yeah, but they know who you are, though.
Well, yes, but I mean, a lot of people know who I am. Yeah. You know, I just have to sort of be diplomatic about the way I handle things. But no, what I'm saying is, living in the countryside is so boring because you wake up every day and the environment's the same and you can't escape it.
It's not completely different.
You can't escape it.
No. It's completely different.
How do you go for a drink? You've got to take your car somewhere. That means you can have 1 pint.
Everything's not about having a drink.
Well, it is about socialising.
I mean, for example, where I live, it's about a 5-minute walk through the fields to the local village. Right?
Yes.
And there are several pubs and restaurants there if I wanted to do that.
Exactly.
But I don't go there that much to do that.
Why not?
Because my life does not revolve around drink like yours.
No, my life doesn't revolve around drink. I like social.
I take the dog for a walk. I might go to a shop.
I meet my contacts. Do you ever take the dog into the pub?
I haven't taken the dog into the pub yet because he's not quite well behaved enough.
Right, okay. But when he will. And you can you?
I will, yeah. There are pubs I can take.
So you can be the country squire. You can sit there, dog at your feet and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, by the fire.
Now then, the other thing about living in the country is you've got one of these wood burners, haven't you?
I have wood-burning stoves,
They are lethal.
Fantastic.
They are lethal.
I just bought a load more wood, actually. I was chopping it at the weekend.
I've got a new report here saying, do you know how much...
it's not by this bloke in New Zealand.
No. Do you know how many chemicals there are in that wood that you put in the wood burner?
There are no chemicals in it.
There are.
No, it's freshly chopped.
No. And they're completely unmanageable. You can't regulate the heat from them.
That's not true.
No, you can't. When
you can.
When they burn out, they burn out. You can't get up in the middle of the night and say, "Oh, it's cold, and I'll turn the wood burner on." You have to actually light it and chuck wood into it, don't you?
It's a fire.
It's useless.
It's a fire.
It's useless.
You don't leave it on at night.
Also, some of the wood you get in from outside sometimes is damp, and that gives you billowing smoke through your room.
You don't burn
which could
damp wood.
Choke your children to death.
This is advice for imbeciles.
No.
Advice for people like you who don't know anything about life.
No.
You don't put wet wood on a fire.
Listen, also...
You don't leave the fire on all night. It's like having a fireplace.
I know that, but your wood in the country...
It's not the only source of heat.
In the winter gets damp. And if you burn damp wood...
No, it doesn't.
You get...
How does it get damp?
You get a damp house.
I keep my wood in the shed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
you see... damp.
Yeah, but your shed is not waterproof.
Yeah, it is.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
Is there a DPC in your shed?
A what?
A damp-proof course?
No.
Well, there you go. So there's moisture in that shed.
No,
that gets into your wood. You burn your wood.
Absolute
billowing
rubbish.
smoke goes through the house. Your children start choking, and it's frankly a waste of time.
They haven't choked yet.
It's a waste of time.
Absolute nonsense.
Where'd you buy your wood for your wood burning stove?
Where do I buy it? I buy it from a guy who chops it locally for me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, you see, that in itself is not good.
Why not?
Because it'll run out.
In fact, this weekend. They won't run out. This weekend he's going to be giving me some special eucalyptus wood because
that's even worse.
He's just taken delivery of some eucalyptus.
Oh, that's even worse.
And he's chopping it specifically for me into very, very small little logs.
That gives off pungent odours.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
I've burned
me.
it before. What it does do is because it's very dense wood, it actually burns slower and gives off more heat.
I don't think so.
You don't know anything about wood.
Eucalyptus actually was put on this earth only to feed koala bears and for no other reason.
Yeah, but you're talking you're talking about the leaves now as opposed to the trunk of the tree.
No, I'm not. All I'm saying is...
Have you ever had a fire?
What do you mean,
have you ever had a fire in one of your properties?
Mate, when I was a kid, my mum used to get up at 6 o'clock every morning. She'd go downstairs. First thing she'd do is take out the ashes from last night's fire, right? And then clean out the grate.
Yeah.
And then...
And you had coal, probably, right?
Yeah, exactly. What I was saying is, and then yesterday's newspaper was made into paper faggots, as we called them, wrapped around and all that kind of stuff, right?
Paper what?
Faggots. They're called paper faggots, yeah. And
it's strange.
Well, you wrapped around bits of paper, tied them up into little balls, put them in the fire. They went first in.
Yeah.
Then I
asked you a question. Have you ever had a fire? You don't have to tell me. You've got about 2 minutes. You don't have to tell me your life story.
And then the wood was put on top of the paper, and then the coal was put on the wood, and then you lit the paper, and the paper set fire to the wood, and the wood set fire to the coal.
Congratulations.
So I know all about coal fires.
Right.
I know all about them.
And so did you not think that you might be breathing in some noxious fumes, or was the room ever filled with smoke?
No, because we had a huge chimney, and it all went up the chimney. But you haven't got a chimney in your house to get rid of the wood-burning stove.
You don't think I've got a chimney?
I'm certain you haven't.
What, you think you have a wood-burning stove? Where do you think the smoke goes?
I think it just goes. Circulates.
Of course there's a chimney.
No, there isn't a chimney.
Yeah, there is.
I don't believe you.
You don't believe me?
If I came and stood 100 yards from your house, are you telling me I'd see smoke coming out of a chimney?
You would, yeah.
I don't believe you.
What do you mean you don't believe me?
Do you know once I was told to go and do a job and...
you think I would actually have a fire in my house where the smoke couldn't go anywhere?
Well, I think it goes out...
plank.
I think it goes out through a vent. I don't think it goes out through a chimney.
It's a chimney.
No, you haven't got a chimney on top of your house.
Yes, I have.
Modern houses don't have chimneys.
It's not a modern house. It's an old house.
Oh, I see. So it's already damp, is it? And that's why you've got a wood-burning stove.
It's not damp.
Crumbling, is it? Crumbling?
No, it's an old farmhouse.
I had to once go and do a job, and there was a bloke in the house, and he wouldn't come out. And the news editor told me to borrow a ladder from the house next door, put a bag of cement over his chimney.
Yeah, you told me that story before.
I know. And
where'd you find a bag of cement?
Well, I don't know. I suppose he expected me to go and buy one or something.
Stole one?
Steal one or something.
Shocking.
Anyway, the point of my story is...
There's no time for you to finish the story.
Chimneys make it incredibly vulnerable, the house, because a chimney can let smoke go up it, but things come down chimneys as well.
Like
what? Stricken birds.
Stricken birds? No, well, you have wire mesh at the top of the chimney to stop all that happening.
And snow.
You put wire mesh across the top of it.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Hail doesn't come down a chimney.
It does.
Snow doesn't come down a chimney.
Does.
You don't know anything about fires,
I do. I know everything about it.
Unbelievable.
I know everything about
unbelievable.
it. I've studied them.
Tomorrow, I'm looking forward to Porky Vision because I hope you'll have watched some very, very interesting shows which have all started. Yeah. I assume you'll be talking about House of Cards as well, one of the biggest shows ever, Series 3 out on Netflix.
I've seen the Sherlock Holmes one as well.
Yeah, good. Excellent.
In fact, it wasn't Sherlock Holmes. That's what was disappointing. I thought it was Sherlock Holmes.
No.
It was Arthur Conan Doyle.
Yeah, the guy
who wrote Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah,
That's
exactly right.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes.
Look at the light!
Don't forget to follow the Two Mikes at the Two Mikes on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for Two Mikes TV.
Just basically be very British about it.
Yeah.
And hit him while he's not looking.
Hit him while he's not looking?
Yes, definitely.